Hello! From the studio in Nitro, West Virginia, this is Unreasonable Down. It's a podcast about West Virginia University basketball. I'm Josh Witt, and West Virginia is playing for a crown tomorrow. The college basketball crown. I don't know how this works. This is the second season. I guess I could look on the internet to see when Nebraska won it last year. Did they get crowns? Does the trophy look like a crown? Is it like when you go into Burger King and you get like the paper crown? Like I feel it's a lost opportunity if there's not more than one crown. I don't know how much crowns are going for. It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to have royal jewels in the crown, but a crown is up for grabs, whatever it looks like. And if West Virginia wins the college basketball crown, will the banner in the Coliseum look like a crown with just 2025 in the middle, like 2025 in rubies spelled out on a crown? Like, I don't know. These are all hypothetical because West Virginia has not won the crown, but they're going to have a chance to win the crown because of how they played today. This is arguably, you watch this game, is it the best 40-minute offensive performance of the season from beginning to end? It looked like it to me. 87 points in regulation. This team in the last month of the season had a hard time breaking 60 sometimes. Definitely 70. 87, 70 win over Creighton in the college basketball crown semifinals. Gus Johnson calling the game, always exciting. We'll always have that call on the football side at Texas. But I think it was the best offensive performance of the season. It's rough when it's in Las Vegas at the college basketball crown. Wish we could look back and say the best offensive performance was maybe against Utah or what could have been. But that's 20 wins for West Virginia. So Ross Hodge makes a postseason, gets to 20 wins in his first season at WVU. West Virginia's first 2-game win streak since January, since beating Colorado and Arizona State back-to-back, way back in January. Nobody's talking about this. Ross Hodge, 2 consecutive seasons where he's taken a team to a Final Four of a postseason tournament. Has not made the NCAA tournament as a head coach, but in the NIT last year, Final Four, in the college basketball crown, reaching the championship game. You don't hang a banner for that, but factual that Ross Hodge wins in the postseason. Got to get the right postseason in year 2. Biggest margin of victory since non-conference play. That's staggering. That the 17-point win, it just hasn't happened a ton since the turn of the calendar to 2026. It hasn't happened at all, really. 17-point win, biggest margin since playing like Mississippi Valley State. Only 4 turnovers. As I was on my own, because I'm a nerd scouting Creighton, I'm looking at the stats, and they don't turn the ball over, but they don't turn people over. In West Virginia, 4 turnovers, that's a season low. Most points scored in regulation since December 9th. Do you remember anything about the Little Rock game? If you don't, you can go back and check out the Unreasonable Doubt episode about that one. Refresh your memory. Probably don't have to do that. Best field goal percentage since the Colorado game on January 17th. Best 3-point percentage in a game since the Arizona State game, January 21st. West Virginia scored over 40 points in both halves. That is not a greatest hit. Consistent offensive performance. That's a new thing. And I was excited to see it, respectfully, the right amount of excited, because it's in the college basketball crown. Still good to see it. They're still playing basketball. And West Virginia had an advantage inside, took advantage of West Virginia's advantage down low, and that opened up outside shooting. West Virginia never trailed in this game. West Virginia was up 6 at the half, and I'm expecting, if they're playing the hits in the last game, a classic from this season is when West Virginia has a halftime lead to give it up and have to call a timeout before the first TV timeout. So I was banking on that today. Not that I want that to happen. That's if they're playing the hits, they would have done that. That didn't happen. Creighton never got the lead cut below 6. And they were throwing some junk zones out. They threw a 1-3-1, got a couple of stops, and then Trace and Eaglestaff punctured the zone, back-to-back threes, and that put Creighton away with minutes to spare. And so that was Greg McDermott's last game as a head coach. 366 wins at Creighton, over 500 in his career, including at Division II. We wish Coach McDermott the best in his future endeavors. But West Virginia looked great offensively. 5 Mountaineers scored in double figures. And in the college basketball crown or the NIT, in a tournament that doesn't count, or maybe even the NCAA tournament, the guy you'd most want to lead the team in scoring in a tournament like this is the guy who can play for WVU next season. And a lot of those guys don't fit that bill. DJ Thomas could come back and play for West Virginia in his sophomore season. And he led the team in scoring today, 20 points, including 2 threes. He's been great in the crown. The flip side of that is he showing other teams like, this is what I can do for you. I'm not putting that on DJ Thomas. It's just how your mind goes in this transfer portal era. But shout out to DJ Thomas. He's put a great 2 games together. Another guy who's been great in Las Vegas that can't get picked up in the transfer portal, Trayson Eaglestaff. Aggressive Trayson. Today he had 4 threes, made those 2 threes to put the game away, stayed aggressive, finished with 16 points and a different jersey number. Brennan Lorient had a couple of threes a day, so it's always good to see Lorient make threes. He was his steady self. He was in double figures. Chase Moore can drive baseline left and dunk the basketball. Time and time again, maybe not the dunk finish, but definitely seen that move. Everybody scouts for it, I would assume, and yet he does it every time. It is Chance Moore doing Chance Moore things. Broken record here. Going to miss the Chance Moore experience. Second double-double as a Mountaineer. He had an awesome game. Honor Huff had 3 threes. Harlan Obioha had his best scoring game since the Texas Tech game. He's diving into the stands after a loose ball and threw it off a Blue Jay to keep West Virginia possession. He's playing hard. Jasper Floyd did not have a great scoring game, but defensively, the Creighton guard who scored 28 Thursday, he was held to 7 points on 2 of 9 shooting. Some of that is coming back down to earth, and some of that is Jasper Floyd. And at the end, West Virginia wins. They interview Ross Hodge, the team behind them. Ross Hodge is shouting out Amir Jenkins in the post-game interview. The guys get rowdy. Very exciting. And West Virginia has, no matter what happens, win or loss, crown or no crown, West Virginia is at the end of the season tomorrow. It is their final game. And we'll talk about that final game in a few minutes. But I apologize for being rusty in that last episode. West Virginia, big break in between games, and had if you're paying attention to WVU basketball, you might know this stuff. There is a chance people just consume WVU basketball through this podcast. And for that very small minority of people that aren't keeping track, there's not a ton to catch up on, but I didn't say anything about Amir Jenkins in the last episode and why it would stand out that Ross Hodge is shouting out Amir Jenkins at the end of the game. Amir Jenkins not in Las Vegas, in Morgantown, and Ross Hodge announced right before heading to Las Vegas that Amir Jenkins finished the season with 2 torn labrums in both shoulders. So Google labrums, they're in the shoulder area. We knew he had one bad shoulder at the beginning of the season, and I thought he had that big thing, that brace around the top of his torso. It looked cumbersome. It looked like that got smaller through the season, or it was completely gone. Apparently not. He was wearing that all season. And so started with one bad shoulder and then find out in checking that out and what they need to do with the bad shoulder. Hey, you got two bad shoulders. The maximum amount of torn labrums you can have as a human being, Amir Amir found out that he had that, which is wild that he had two torn labrums and didn't stop playing basketball. So obviously that provides some context on how Jenkins played during the conference schedule, not being able to score. I would imagine it's difficult scoring the basketball if both of your labrums are torn. Now, labrum is a fun word to say. It's not a fun story that Amir Jenkins is injured and needs to have surgery, multiple surgeries to get this stuff fixed. But the word labrum I'm enjoying saying the word labrum. Am I an idiot? You betcha. Did I know what a labrum was before this week? I don't want to answer that. But shout out to Amir Jenkins for playing with a bad shoulder. Not everybody that has a shoulder injury plays through it. You know what I mean? And there's no right or wrong answer there, but some people choose to play with injured shoulders and some people don't. Again, there's no right or wrong, just everybody's different, right? And so Jenkins not in Las Vegas, already had surgery this week on one of his shoulders. I don't know what that means for his time frame of recovery. Will he be ready to play basketball for the 2026-2027 season? I don't know that. Does that affect his decision to stay in Morgantown? Does he still have the opportunity to hit the transfer portal? I don't know. In my head, the injury makes it more likely for him to stay, but you don't know. Nobody knows until the dust settles. After the transfer portal closes and all the musical chairs stop, the music stops, and everybody's at where they're at. But shout out to Amir Jenkins. And so when Ross Hodge does the shout out at the end of the game or post game interview, and all the guys are pumped that he's mentioning Amir Jenkins, that felt good. That felt wholesome. There's plenty of announcements happening for the transfer portal. Plenty of guys' intentions to hit the portal. None for WVU so far, but the portal isn't even open yet. But there's plenty of time for that. I'm excited for this offseason. Year 2 of the same coach, seeing who Ross Hodge can retain, who he can bring in from the portal. The portal is expensive. Everything I'm reading, guys that are in the portal and that are good at basketball are asking for a lot of money, a lot of 7-figure requests out there. It's expensive out there. We'll see how many guys West Virginia needs to bring in from the portal and who they go for. Will there be a different strategy? Coach Yusuf Ali is kind of the spearhead here for the guys that are being brought in from the freshman class. I'm assuming he's going to have a big role in the transfer portal as well as the whole coaching staff. I'm excited for it. That's going to be fun. It's year 2. You can't lose a game in the offseason. Now, we're going to know what the vibes are, who the caliber of guy they're going to be able to bring in, and we'll know immediately. It'll either be this guy's awesome and he's a known quantity, or we can convince ourselves that a guy who maybe stats wise, because a lot of these guys you've never heard of them unless you're a true college basketball sicko. There's 360 some teams in college basketball. How in the world would you know about the rosters of 360 plus teams? Uh, Does anybody have? I mean, I don't know who the guy is that could say who is this all of the starters in the MEAC. I don't know, but there's a lot of talent out there. A lot of you're going to read the announcements and you're going to see the stat lines and you're going to say, "Oh, that guy's really good at basketball, but is he that good because he played at a lower level?" Plenty to figure out. We can get excited or less excited, but either way, the excitement is going to go like it's trending in the up direction. I don't know what moves West Virginia can make in this offseason where it's lower than the baseline of that guy was good at a lower level. Maybe he'll translate into the Big 12. But that's all exciting stuff. I'm excited for that. And then as far as the freshman class, there's plenty happening there in that guys finished their high school season today at the high school national championship. And Miles Sadler, who is the top of this top 25 recruiting class, freshman recruited class, he was really good and led his team to a national championship. That's awesome. He also was the EYBL Scholastic League Player of the Year. And the last guy who got that award was Darius Acuff at Arkansas, and he's going to be an NBA lottery pick. So these guys, it looks like I want to see them, like pictures of them in Morgantown, news that they are enrolled. Again, no offense to anybody involved. It's just, I'll believe it when they're on site. Because, I mean, great example, Jaden Forsyth, Jonathan Powell. These guys were committed to a school and very late in the process decommitted and went to another school. Now, those two guys went to West Virginia. I'm sure there's experiences where guys were committed to West Virginia, decommitted, go somewhere else, especially the Darren DeVries recruits. When Darren DeVries left for Indiana, they got out of their letter of intent and went somewhere else. So it's real when they're on site, with love and respect to everyone involved, but there's nothing to the contrary of them changing their minds. So let's get them on site. If all these guys show up, Diome, Sadler, Kingston Whitty, those three guys show up, that's a top 25 freshman class, according to 24/7 Sports. That's exciting too. It's just a lot. West Virginia was winning postseason games. It's exciting. It's not as exciting West Virginia performing well in a tournament that's not the NCAA tournament. The future is exciting. And this is going to be a way more fun offseason, and probably the most fun offseason since like what? Like the month and change in 2023 before what happened on the radio in May of 2023. That was a pretty fun offseason until it was the worst offseason I can remember in my lifetime. Unreasonable Doubt is under the Smoking Musket umbrella. Go to smokingmusket.com. Read posts about WVU sports, daily throwdown. Check that out. Go to the Discord. We're talking about WVU sports and other stuff on the Smoking Musket Discord. Link for that is in the show notes. Listen to West by Pod, the WVU football podcast under the Smoking Musket umbrella. Do all that stuff. Smoking Musket. Year 2 of the Ross Hodge era has it's all potential. Year 1 of the Ross Hodge era ends tomorrow in Las Vegas, 5:30 p.m., Fox Network. college basketball crown championship, the Mountaineers will play former Big 12 foe, the Oklahoma Sooners. Porter Moser still there. Oklahoma, the highest rated Ken Pom team in the college basketball crown field. They were the first team left out of the 2026 NCAA tournament. So you got the first one out from the 26 tournament versus the first team out from the 2025 tournament. Oklahoma had a rough stretch in conference play. They were 1-9, so they won their first game in the SEC, and then they lost their next 9. Got it back on track, won 6 of 8 in their last 8 regular season games, won a couple of games at the SEC tournament. First team out, go to the crown. Colorado took Oklahoma to overtime in the quarterfinals before Oklahoma winning that game, and then Oklahoma beat Baylor by 13. Oklahoma, former Big 12 foe, also former Mountaineer, who's a starter on this team, Mo Waggy, who played his freshman year at WVU, then went to Alabama. This is his second season at Oklahoma. He started all 30-plus games for Oklahoma this season. They have Nigel Pack. Nigel Pack still bumping around in college basketball. Pack had an injury redshirt season last year, comes back, goes to Oklahoma. He's been playing. His first season at Kansas State was Miles McBride's last season at WVU. Nigel Pack, good at basketball, shooting 45% from 3, has 7 more made threes than Honor Huff. So the rare opponent where a guy on their roster has made more threes this season than Honor Huff. They've had the same starting 5 all season. Great offensive metrics. They shoot the ball well. They average 14 second chance points per game. So offensively, very strong, not as solid defensively. They allow a high percentage of offensive rebounds. They're below average in turning opponents over. When Oklahoma has held their opponent to under 70, they are undefeated. They're 10-0. And when their opponent scores 70 or more, they have a losing record. They're 10-15. So 70, as for the whole season, and maybe in college basketball in general, 70 is the magic number. Now, West Virginia scored 87 today. For the 2025-2026 season, West Virginia, the game after they break 80 in regulation, they are 0-4. It is a comeback down-to-earth situation. So I don't like the spot, but West Virginia, I didn't think West Virginia could win 2 in a row because they hadn't done it since January, and they have won 2 in a row. They've won 2 neutral site games in a row. They can hang with Oklahoma. If Colorado can hang with Oklahoma, so can West Virginia. Can West Virginia finish this season with a crown or multiple crowns? We'll find out. That's it for this episode of Unreasonable Doubt. Listen on all the platforms, or just pick one. Spotify Podcast, Overcast Podcast, Amazon Podcast, Pocket Cast Podcast, YouTube. Until next time, I'm Josh Witt. WVU for the 2025-2026 season, they have 20 wins and they have 14 losses.